Imagine if you could just walk up to an ATM and it dispensed endless cash. Or if you woke up to find your bank account inexplicably overflowing with money. It sounds like a fantastical plot from a Hollywood movie, right? Well, believe it or not, these scenarios aren't as far-fetched as they seem. They have been real-life instances where criminals have attacked ATMs to steal money, and even cases of accidental bank errors that have resulted in accounts being mistakenly credited with large sums. Unveiling the ATM heist, a decade-long cybercrime spree. For over a decade, a shadowy group of hackers, dubbed the Carbonic Group, held the upper hand. They infiltrated the digital vaults of dozens of financial institutions, siphoning off over $1 billion. The reign of cybercrime seemed unstoppable until antivirus giant Kaspersky Labs stumbled upon their trail. Kaspersky didn't face this challenge alone. Partnering with international intelligence agencies, they aimed to dismantle the Carbonic Group. But to understand their methods, we need to rewind a few years. Back in 2010, a Black Hat hacking conference presentation by computer security expert Barnaby Jack sent shockwaves through the cybersecurity world. He unveiled a system he called jackpotting, a hacker's dream and a security expert's worst nightmare. Jackpotting detailed how to hack an ATM and force it to dispense cash on demand. Even more chilling, Jack demonstrated two distinct methods for pulling off this heist. Physical access, digital domination. The Carbonic Group's first method was a hands-on approach. They needed physical access to the ATM and connected it to a computer or tablet loaded with custom-made malware. This malware, once activated, essentially took control of the machine. With the ATM under their thumb, the hackers only needed to send a few commands from their device and voila! The ATM would obediently cough up cash like a broken slot machine. But how? Unlike a bank vault, an ATM is essentially two machines in one. The lower portion, heavily secured, holds the precious cargo, the cash. This is the ATM's safety deposit box. The upper part houses the user interface, the screen, receipt printer, and most crucially, the computer that runs the whole show. This computer is directly linked to the cash dispenser. By hacking into this internal computer, the criminals gained complete control over the ATM's functions, including, unfortunately, cash dispensing. The Achilles heel of the ATM, jackpotting exposed. One crucial detail to remember, the computer controlling the ATM, unlike the cash dispenser itself, often lacked robust security. This glaring oversight became the Carbonics Group golden ticket. Hackers could gain access through brute force, physically breaking open the top compartment, or by acquiring readily available access keys sold on the dark web. Once breached, the top box was wide open. All they had to do was connect their device, unleash the malware, and watch the cash flow. But as impressive as this method was, Barnaby Jack had a trick up his sleeve, a method that truly stunned the audience. He revealed a way to hack into a bank's internal cash system, essentially granting them control over every ATM in the network. This meant they could remotely trigger cash disbursements without ever touching a machine, a phantom heist leaving no fingerprints behind. The icing on the cake? Both methods bypassed the need for personal information. No swiping cards, no account details, complete anonymity for the perpetrators. Now you might be wondering, is this elaborate ATM hacking even worth the effort? Absolutely. There's a reason criminals resort to drastic measures, exploding ATMs, bulldozing them out of the ground. Remember the infamous Brisbane heist of 2010? Some ATMs hold a staggering sum between $200,000 and $450,000, while most carry a hefty $60,000. This makes them prime targets for thieves and hacking enthusiasts like Barnaby Jack. His black hat presentation catapulted him to legendary status within hacking circles. Experts and criminals alike buzzed about his revelations, but for one group, this was a nightmare unfolding. banks and financial institutions were now vulnerable to attacks across the entire ATM network. The potential for widespread theft and even further refinement of Jack's methods loomed large. And their fears were well-founded. As we'll see, the knowledge of jackpotting spread like wildfire, and a new era of ATM crime was born. Buckle up, because things are about to get more concerning. The Ploutus Plague, a wave of ATM crime. Just 3 years after Barnaby Jack's bombshell presentation, the first large-scale jackpotting heist unfolded in 2013. Mexico became the target, with a criminal group compromising over 450 ATMs across 4 major banks. In a matter of days, a staggering $40 million vanished. Initially, perplexed banks suspected their armored cash delivery teams were responsible for the empty ATMs, but a deeper investigation revealed a more sinister culprit: malware. Christened Ploutus Made in Latin America XD, it was the first of its kind. Malware specifically designed to target ATMs running on Cal Software, a leading industry provider. This opened a Pandora's box. Just as Jack demonstrated, hackers used readily available access keys to breach the ATMs. Once inside, they unleashed Ploutus, granting them control through a keyboard to dispense cash at will. This marked the first major jackpotting success story, and news traveled fast within hacker circles. The Ploutus Wave began with cybercriminals around the world wielding the malware to fleece ATMs. Estimates suggest banks lost a staggering $2 to $3 billion in the following year. To make matters worse, the malware and instructions on its use became readily available for purchase on the dark web, democratizing access to this criminal tool. So why weren't banks patching their systems? They were, but it proved a game of whack-a-mole. Each security update offered temporary respite, only to be followed by a new, improved version of Ploutus hitting the dark web. The situation was further complicated by the widespread use of outdated Windows XP operating systems in ATMs. Support for this vulnerable system ended in 2014, precisely when cash machines were facing a daily barrage of attacks. The biggest initial victims were in Mexico, Brazil, and other South American countries. As Ploutus' notoriety grew, it spread to Europe and Asia. With an updated version, Ploutus D, even emerging in the US by 2018, banks worldwide were grappling with the Ploutus nightmare. However, the worst was yet to come. As banks fortified their defenses against Ploutus, a new, far more sophisticated threat materialized in 2014. Antivirus giant Kaspersky Labs stumbled upon a group of unknown hackers wielding a previously unseen malware. This malware had infiltrated the internal systems of dozens of banks across Europe, Russia, and even China. The banks had reached out to Kaspersky after mysterious withdrawals began occurring at their ATMs with no physical tampering evident. Investigation revealed a half-year-long campaign with millions stolen, with the malware meticulously deleting security footage and transaction details to avoid detection. This wasn't a simple Ploutus or debit card scheme. This was something entirely new, so sophisticated that Kaspersky suspected it might be a state-sponsored attack. They dubbed this unseen menace Carbonac. It was untraceable, undetectable by conventional security systems, and powerful enough to necessitate a global alliance of banks and intelligence agencies to combat it. And if you like this video, click the next one shown on the screen, and I'm sure you'll like it. Thanks for watching.